Hello everyone and welcome to Stefan's podcast, the only podcast for everything Japanese news and what's going on in the big wide world of Fukushima. Hope you're having a fantastic day. We have got some great news stories for you, so let's jump straight into them. The first news story is about a security officer from Haneda Airport who got up to some mischief when he decided to steal from people's luggage. Now, he was quite crafty about doing this. He's apparently managed to get away with this for the last couple of months, would you believe it? And he has stolen an estimated 1.5 million yen. 1.5 million yen. Wow. And he got caught stealing 90,000 yen, and when the police started questioning him about it, he basically got caught banter rights, and he just admitted that, yep, I've been doing this, and I did it for the thrill, for the fun, not for the money. I needed a little bit of excitement in my life. I wanted to become a bad boy. Well, he can enjoy being a bad boy in prison, because that's where he's probably going to go for the next couple of years. I can tell you that now. How long do you think he's going to get in prison? Let's take an estimated guess. That's got to be, what do you think, a year, 2 years, a couple of years, just a fine? I think the fact that he's done it for the last couple of months, he needs to go away to prison for at least maybe a year, 6 months. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not the judge in this, but who knows? That's what I would put him down if I was the judge. But hey, Japanese law makes no sense to me. Some crimes people commit, they get a fine. Some people do a tiny little crime and they get sent to prison for 5-6 years. Doesn't make any sense to me. There's no rhyme, there's no reason to it. It's Japan, baby. But our next news story coming out of the old big Nihon is toys in Japan. Now, you would have thought with there being a low amount of children in Japan that toy sales would have fallen. They would have fallen out the floor. No one's going to make toys anymore. But no. Apparently there's actually been a rise in toy sales recently because of, you guessed it, adults. Now, adults are buying more toys for themselves for a little bit of nostalgia, for a little bit of fun. I also expect the fact that there is a load of tourists coming to Japan and buying these toys, that has probably also helped. But the Japanese economists have said that the main reason for this is adult demand, and more adults are buying toys. And a great example of this is the recent Tamagotchis that just came out. So Tamagotchis released a new pet for 2025, and apparently a lot of adults bought them because they wanted to feel the nostalgia. And I have to say, I did see these for a little bit, and I did even consider buying one for myself, because who remembers being younger and having a Tamagotchi? What a great fun they were. They were a good bit of clean Christian fun, I can tell you that. Yes, they are. Now, yeah, that's it. There's basically adults are buying more toys, sales are going up, more weebs in the world who buy toys. What a great thing for Japan. Keep that going, because let me tell you something, Japan needs that money, and it doesn't matter where it comes from. Toys, anime, manga, you buy it, they need it. Cars, they definitely need more car sales, I can tell you that now. But there we go. That's that story. Our next news story for you is coming from outside of Japan, would you believe it?
You're crazy! How did you pull this off?
Japan. This is a Denmark story, but it was in a Japanese article that I was reading, and it was quite interesting that Denmark have conducted a study over the last 40-year period. They had about nearly 30,000 men in the study, and they found that living on a noisy street apparently raises your chance of having a stroke. And the reason that they think this is one, possibly pollution, because obviously if it's a noisy street, chances are more cars are going by, whatever. But they also say that just because it's noisy, it affects your sleep levels, and not getting a good night's sleep is a really, really bad thing if you're trying to not have a stroke. So, wait, really bad thing? Not getting a good night's sleep is a really bad thing if you're trying not to have a stroke. So sleep is very, very important, and being interrupted when you're trying to sleep actually affects you in more ways than you might think, than just being tired. So if you want to have a particularly good life, hey, Fukushima, there's no car noise whatsoever. You do apparently get the noise of deers, especially if you live up in the north like I used to. If you live up in way in the north, then you'll get some deers shouting at night, and let me tell you something, they are terrifying. If you haven't heard a deer scream at night, oh, you're a lucky person, because that is not good. In fact, I've probably raised my chance of having a stroke by at least 50% just by living near those deers. They were terrifying. It almost sounds like a screaming woman, the deers. It's very similar to a fox cry. If you've ever lived in London, it's very, very similar to that. It very is. But our next news story coming out of Japan was an interesting one. It's about more elderly people working. They're not necessarily working full-time jobs, but they are working more part-time jobs, and of course they are continuing to work longer into their life because they're living a lot longer. But the reason why these people are working isn't necessarily for money. It's more that they're looking for something to do and they want to feel useful. So of all the people that were surveyed, the reasons for working were pretty interesting. They said that a lot of it were they want to help people, they want to stay healthy, because they kind of know that a lot of people, when they retire, they just don't do anything. They just sit around and basically wait for God to take them. And by continuing to work, you stay active, you keep your brain ticking over, you keep your body moving, so it's good on that front. They also said they want to feel healthy, they want to make good use of their time, and also they can find jobs that are a little bit more relaxed. You know, it doesn't have to be in the giant corporate thing. A lot of them were in like hospitality sectors, things like that. So not the most like responsible job that you can have, where if something goes wrong, your life is over. You know, hospitality, if something goes wrong, it's just a food order, not the end of the world. You move on, bang bang, the end. But one of the things that they particularly look for, these elderly people, is a job that is close to home. That's apparently one of the most important things, is they don't want a long commute time. And hey, I can't blame them. If I'm an elderly person looking for a nice relaxed job, then yeah, I would do that. But apparently there is still a stigma against people working, even in Japan, people working an elderly age. And a lot of these people say that they have felt discrimination from people who don't want to hire someone who is elderly. What do you think? Would you hire an elderly person? Personally, I think chances are hiring an elderly person is particularly good, because unless they have any health issues, they're probably going to turn up for work every day. They're going to be responsible. They are not going to be late for work. I'd be very surprised if someone in their 60s, 70s is late for work, and they're going to come in, do a pretty good job and leave. Whereas if you look at someone like a teenager, they're probably going to come in maybe a little bit hungover, which is a thing. They are maybe going to be a little bit flaky. They're not going to be so responsible. I think if I had a choice, this is interesting, if you had a choice between a elderly person and a young person, who are you going to take? It depends on the role. If it's something like a shop counter thing where you're like scanning stuff, maybe I'll choose an elderly person. I think they would be better with the customers. Depends where it is. If it's like a fashion shop, I'd probably want to have a younger person because it's cool, it's hip. But if it's like a supermarket or something, I'll take the elderly person. What do you think? Who would you take? Elderly or young? Let's give you the scenario. A average supermarket job. Who are you taking? Then let's go a restaurant. Who are you taking? Old or young? And if it's a clothing shop, who are you going to take? Old or young? And I'll throw one more in. A like tourist board. Like a job working in a tourist board, having to help tourists. Who are you going to go? Old or young? Let me know in the comments below. Now, our next news story coming out of Japan is about a very naughty bear who's got up to some very naughty bear things. He broke into a retirement home. Yes, he did. Now, bear attacks are, of course, in the rise in Japan, with them just being everywhere. They just seem to have spread out wherever they can go. Almost every week, there seems to be a new story about some bear doing something naughty in Japan. But in this town in Aizu in Fukushima prefecture, a bear broke into a retirement home, and to break himself out, he actually physically broke out. He dived through a window, smashed it to pieces, and escaped into the forest. Now, luckily, no one was harmed in it, but it is worried that, you know, there are more people going around. There are more bears that are happening all throughout Japan. So if you do come to Japan, particularly if you're going into like the northern areas of the place, be careful, because these bears are about, and they're not fun. They're not your friends. They're not Winnie the Pooh. They certainly aren't not. And it doesn't matter where you are, even if you're in a retirement home, they'll come for you. They will get you, and they'll take you down. But the next news story coming out of Japan, and an important one for people who are looking to move here, is Japan are looking to impose new fines for bicycles. So they're going to introduce 113 new violations for people who are riding bicycles. But the main one that people probably really need to know about are distracted cycling. So if you're seen riding your bike and being distracted, you can get a fine of up to 12,000 yen. And what they class as distracted driving, the main one in the article, is about driving a bike, pedaling a bike with your phone. So if you're on your phone and a policeman sees you, watch out. You're probably going to get a fine, and you're probably going to get it quickly. Another one is entering a closed railway crossing. Why anyone would do this, I don't know, but that will get you a 7,000 yen fine. And having a bicycle without proper brakes on it, that will get you a 5,000 yen fine. So just be careful if you come to Japan. Of course, these aren't, 12,000 yen, that would suck getting a fine for that. I wouldn't like that, but just be careful. Just be careful. And there are other things that are going to get you a fine. 113 different types. Unfortunately, the article here doesn't have a complete list of them, but just be careful if you're riding a bike in Japan. It's like anywhere in the world. You can get a fine for everything, because the government, they love a fine. If you're cycling, they're a fining. Now, the last news story to come out of Japan, this was just an interesting article that I was looking at, and I wanted to get your opinion. If you lived in Japan, you had boatloads of money, you have so much money that you don't know what to do with it, where would you send your kids to get a good education? Would you send them to Japan, or would you send them across the world? Apparently, one of the most favourite places to send their children in Japan is the UK, because apparently we have some very good boarding schools, and we have some good education. We have good education in our country. Look at me, look at my pronunciation, isn't it fantastic? But they want their kids to be able to speak English as well, and speak it at like a native level, and there is no better way to do that realistically than to send your kids to an English speaking country. Now, also in the top places was America. That is second was in the list here, because even though Trump is making it a lot harder for people to move to the US, it's still possible for them to do it. And of course, English speaking place, probably get a really good feel for the country, feel for America, feel for English. And also they said that for university, America is the best places. But some of the other places where kids are being sent to were Malaysia, Indonesia, and places like that, where they have these good international schools. And Malaysia, Indonesia, and Bali were seen as like the economic value choices. They're much cheaper than sending them to the UK and the US, because the UK and US, oh baby, is not cheap. I can tell you that now. I dread to think what a private school for a boarding private school is for international students. I bet it is expensive. I bet it's a year's salary, something like that. Let me tell you something. It's not good. Now, if you had all this money, where would you send your children if you were from Japan? Personally, I think Japan is absolutely fantastic at elementary school. Elementary school, I don't think there's a place that has a better elementary school system than Japan. And once you get into junior high school, that's where it sort of goes out the window. I don't think Japan's junior high school are the best for students. I think that there is too many tests, they're too strict on them, and a lot of kids, I feel like they need more for work-life balance. And that's why I think the UK is very good. I didn't go to an American high school, so I have no idea what they're like. I did spend 2 weeks as an international change going to an American college, and I thought the American colleges were very good, especially their sports systems. I think that they are brilliant. And if you're good at a sport and you get an opportunity to go to like a college on a sports scholarship, I think their is no better place than America. I really can't see there being anywhere as good. But what do you think? Where would you go? I find it interesting when I see sports taught here in schools. Like the other day, I went to a badminton PE lesson for my kids. They were doing badminton, and I went long because I like doing badminton. And they spend the whole hour just doing like actual practice, like no fun games whatsoever. You literally just learn how to do different styles of serve, different maneuvers in badminton, whatever you want to call it, different routines. You practice your serve, you practice your underhand shot, and you don't play a fun game at the end. That is completely different to the UK system. If you do a sport in the UK, you will practice some sort of serve or something for maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, but you will always, at the end of it, play like a full game. You'll do 20 minutes of actual games, actual fun playing the sport, but they don't do that here in Japan. So it's very different, very, very different. They almost just learn the theory of the sports, and I've seen it on every single sports class that I've been to. They will very rarely actually play the match that they're doing. They will practice all the fundamentals and then play it. Versus where in the UK, we're basically like, well, here we go, we'll practice for a little bit, bish bang bosh, and then there we go. We're now gonna get into a game and see how you do. And I think it's a shame because they practice it and then don't play it, and it's kind of like, this is kind of pointless. You want to enjoy the sport, not just get very good at the fundamentals. But that's education and PE for you in the world. And that is the end of our podcast today. Thank you very much for watching. We've got a couple of bank holidays coming up here in Japan. September is probably one of the best months to actually work in Japan as a teacher. I really think it is. We get so many bank holidays this month, and it's a very nice, soft introduction into the second term. It really, really is. It's very, very soft, very nice. We have two bank holidays this month. We've had one this week. We've got another one coming up the week after, and then bang, September is over. It just flies away. And then even in October, we've got 1 month. We've got one bank holiday coming up. I really do wish in the UK we had more bank holidays. It'd be much better. Everyone just seems so relaxed. Also, the weather is just getting a little bit more comfortable here in Japan. This is like the golden time where Japan isn't too hot, it's not uncomfortable, it's not cold, and it's like, oh, this is the best place to be right now. I think once you get to like September, October, it's very, very comfortable. Most people come to Japan in April, May because they want to see the cherry blossoms, but honestly, don't skip October. I think October is brilliant. I was talking to my mum and dad, and my dad was wearing a jumper, and I was like, Dad, what are you doing? You're wearing a jumper? I was like, it's 30 degrees here. It's lovely at the moment. And he's like, it's freezing here. And I thought, oh, when I go back, I'm not going to enjoy that. That's going to be cold. I don't like being cold. But that's pretty much it for the podcast today. Thank you very much for listening. Have an absolutely fantastic week, and I shall see you in the next video. Goodbye.